is in fact critical to the United States national security and military readiness?
Very critical.
Okay.
Today, we watched another segment from Congress. Submarines, budgets, billions of dollars on paper. And, of course, the enormous gaps left behind by the Trump administration. Because this country has neglected one of its most critical defense programs, submarines, for years. Why? Because Trump and his team prioritized burying money in walls, demonizing immigrants, and waging war on Twitter. Now the Pentagon is saying, we're closing that gap, but what do they have to show for it? More excuses than numbers. Don't you think this is just classic post-Trump cleanup? At this point, yes, like the video and subscribe, because this nonsense will be talked about more.
Is in fact critical to the United States national security and military readiness.
Very critical.
Okay, so yes, thank you, and we agree. They'll continue to be a critical asset to deter adversaries, sustain the advantage we have in undersea domain, and the Defense Department should continue to support these programs. What is the status of the Department's investments in submarine programs?
14% increase in FY26 on the Columbia, and a substantial increase in the Virginia as well. So we're ensuring a submarine industrial base that has been left behind, that has been neglected, is fully invested.
We
to make
have
sure
funded
we're
the submarine base
on funding
here.
the submarines.
More than half, and you can go back to last December, but I want to move on. Do you know where our submarine production currently stands, and whether current production is sufficient to bridge the gap between current fleet size and projected need?
There is a gap, but we believe we are closing it, ma'am. Yes.
And if you can get to us the information about how, in fact, that you can close that gap, because we do not have any information or data that can substantiate what you're saying. Your department's initial budget proposal includes incremental funding for the Columbia-class submarine. Is that going to raise alarm bells across the defense industrial base by signaling a lack of commitment to the program?
No, we could not, ma'am. We could not be more committed to Columbia. The centrality in the triad, ensuring it delivers on time, it's central to the deterrent and the base of the United States. So
do you know how much of a financial hole this will create for the defense industrial base? Will there be a financial hole for the defense industrial base in 2026?
Certainly not based on our projections. There is not a hole. We're investing in Columbia robustly.
Okay, without numbers, it's my understanding the department is planning to move $3.1 billion for the Columbia class from 2026 and spread it over 2027 and 2028. This creates a serious problem for industry in the short term and hampers shipbuilders' ability to reach an adequate production rate. Have you been in contact with Electric Boat or with Huntington Ingalls about your plans?
Almost every day, our Deputy Secretary of Defense, alongside our Secretary of the Navy, are actively engaged with all of our shipbuilders and shipyards to make sure their needs not only are being met, but their shortfalls are being addressed so that we can close that gap in real time, which has existed.
So that you can really lay out for us the information and which we would like to get, where this committee needs to take a look at, because I know you believe that submarines are important, as I do, but getting the specific information about.
Look, this issue isn't simple. Columbia-class submarines are the backbone of deterrence. But during the Trump administration, funds were diverted, contracts were delayed, and the industrial base was left to rot. Remember? At the same time, Trump was setting up this toy called the Space Force. Space soldiers. But we still don't have enough Virginia-class submarines. So when the Pentagon says, we've increased it by 14%, it's just not funny. Because you've wasted years. Isn't this the start the fire and then try to look like a firefighter hero tactic?
Where we stand, what the production rate is, what gaps there may be. We're willing to listen to all of that because, in fact, in contrast to what your earlier statement was, we have, in fact, supported mightily the submarine industrial base from this committee. That has not been neglected. Do you have a plan for making the investments necessary to ramp up submarine production to the necessary elections? I would just tell you, as part of the December continuing resolution, Congress included $5.7 billion for the department to put on contract for 2 additional Block 4 and 1 Block 5 Virginia-class submarines. The Navy advised members that these funds were required to be placed on contract by February of 2025, yet the department did not put funding for the 2 additional Block 4 boats on contract until April 30th. So do we have a plan? Do you have a plan for making the necessary investments to ramp up submarine production to the necessary levels? And what is that plan?
Ma'am, first of all, I want to thank this committee for the flexibility alongside FY25 and the continued resolution.
Well, I would hope you would thank this committee for the funding that it had made.
Submarine industrial
we have made a
base,
serious investment. So your first statement is inaccurate. We have focused squarely on submarines, and we're now want to know where that is going and what your plan is for the continued advancements to meet production levels and make sure that that is an area that's covered for our national security.
Ma'am, I fully acknowledge the investment this committee has made in shipbuilding, and the challenge is our department under the previous administration squandered a lot of that by
Please, I want your plan. I've had difficulties with the prior administration, and I don't mind calling them out. What is your plan for the future? Can we get that in writing and on paper so that we know where you're going? Because we don't have anything today. We have zip, nada, and knowing where you're going. You could talk percentages. You can talk about whatever you want, but unless this committee sees dollars and cents and where you're going and what your plan is, then we may reconsider what you need to do to go forward. Give us the details.
Congresswoman, we have the details and we will provide them.
Then let's have them before and my hope is that we could get to it before we go to a markup within a few hours here today.
There's also this aspect. Congress members are asking, where's the plan? They're absolutely right. Because the Pentagon representative comes out and says, don't worry, we're talking. We're in contact with shipbuilders almost every day. Come on. If you're in such close contact, why have the contracts for 2 submarines been delayed for months? This, we're on it, story reminds me of Trump's "we have it totally under control" line during the pandemic. The result? Chaos. Don't you think these words are just window dressing? And of course, the most ironic part, they say, we are committed to Columbia. This program is central. But in the same breath, they are shifting the budget to future years. Either you're committed or you're not. You can't have both. This is pure Trump-style politics, saying, I'm doing the biggest, the best, and then passing the bill to someone else. Just like with taxes, just like with infrastructure promises. They started with Infrastructure Week in 2016, and by 2020, they were still stalling with next week. The submarine issue is just another chapter in the same joke. Now pay attention. Congress members are saying, give us the numbers, give us the plan, give us the details in writing. The Pentagon says, don't worry, we'll give it to you. Of course you will. But the problem is, you haven't provided them so far. Zip, nada, the woman says, meaning nothing at all. This reminds me of Trump saying, I have a secret plan after losing the 2020 election and never showing it. They keep saying there's a plan, but for some reason, no one sees it. Don't you also feel like there's no plan in this country, just propaganda? There's also Trump's tactic. First destroy trust, then shift the blame onto someone else. Now the Pentagon spokesperson is saying, the previous administration was terrible, we're cleaning up the mess. He's right, but that's the problem. Because we're wasting time with all this previous administration talk. Hey, you're the ones in charge right now. Put the plan on the table. People want to see action. Otherwise, this is just turning into a big circus. Tell me, do you really feel confident when you hear these statements? Let's talk about the industrial side of things. Shipbuilders, Electric Boat, Huntington Ingalls are saying we need clarity. But the Pentagon is still playing with the budget. The industrial base can't withstand this much volatility. These companies pay wages to tens of thousands of workers. But during the Trump era, they campaigned on the slogan, workers first. then undermined workers' job security. The contradiction is clear. Do you think it's a coincidence that a man who claims to be worker-friendly is eroding this base? Now I ask, if this program is truly vital, why are we constantly delaying it? Why are contracts 3 months late? Why are funds being pushed back? Because the truth is, Republicans always shout about security, strength, and the nation, but when it comes to concrete action, they bury the money in their own shows. Remember the federal funds Trump spent on his golf courses. He treated the government like his own wallet. Now we're debating why we're short on submarines. Ridiculous. And the issue isn't just military, it's also economic. These investments create thousands of jobs and strengthen regional economies. But due to uncertainty, investments are slowing down. Who feels this the most? Workers. The welder, engineer, technician working in the factory. Their wages, their security. So Trump's America First was actually a big lie, because the truth was Trump first. Don't you see it that way too? In conclusion, what we are witnessing in Congress today is a big show. The Department of Defense says we are making serious investments, but there are still gaps. Republicans are shirking responsibility and refusing to acknowledge the mess left behind by the Trump era. And worst of all, the public is paying the price for this mess. Submarines are becoming invisible, not only in the ocean, but also in politics. But we can't ignore it. Because security, the economy, and the workforce, they're all interconnected. So, we'll be talking more about this on this channel, exposing more. Like the video, subscribe, because the mess Trump left behind isn't over yet.